Welcome back, YouTube. Welcome back. Let's see here. Get my stuff set up real quick, and then we'll do an hour, probably the last hour at Biraghi Den. And this time I'll use 20,000 Agris and kind of see what we get. I'm sure the Agris at the spot's probably not the greatest, if I had to take a guess. Uh, all right.
Someone that's like gearing up feels like actual progression against the monsters. I feel like that's what they
Sadly,
feeling is,
yeah,
right?
I think that they were trying to do.
Sadly, nothing that you just said was relevant because you literally called Underground Gyfin Undies.
Got the name.
It's tragic.
Puppies and undies,
You
right?
hate to see that.
Puppies.
Yeah, so like, is it every grind zone of the game, or is it very specific grind zones?
Specific ones listed on the Global Labs.
And they're
Additionally,
basically
they also
Okay, go ahead.
for like literally every grind spot. You know how like there's a recommended AP on the world map.
Yeah.
They have updated it to be.
All
They
right.
reduced it so
Put
like
the old move
they reduced
podcast
Olin's
on.
Valley to a recommended AP. I don't think it changes anything at Olin's Valley, but they just reduced it from 300 recommended to 290. Which
Wait,
kind of makes me think maybe they are like adding more room for potentially
Cool. I think the volume sounds decent. All right.
like
Okay.
higher AP grunt spots.
wait, so
Because
my
they're,
grind zone
you know,
guides
I don't
are
know.
actually going to be
I think they're just
juiced.
adjusting the numbers to be like more accurate with the amount of buffs and stuff you pop with the hidden AP brackets, stuff like that. That's how I kind of
that also
interpreted
makes
it.
sense.
I don't think they're actually lowering the requirements by like actually editing DP numbers on the mobs or DR or whatever. I think what they're doing is just
Need to
making it
do
more
my
accurate so that people like, I don't know. There's a lot of
roof
people that ask
bosses
like, what's
too
the
at some
recommended AP
point.
for a spot? I kind of just look at the generic thing and say, well, this is what they recommend. You could probably go
Whoa.
earlier, but like, you know, that's not. That's
True.
different than what the
Yeah, I do
actuality
say that
is,
all the
right?
time. Like you can definitely like go to regular Olin's at like 281 probably and still do fairly well. And so maybe they're making it more in line with that.
Right. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so like obviously this improves the power creep of the game. Like, so everyone's going to be making like way more silver per hour, right? Like,
No, they said they were adjusting the HP to make sure it wouldn't be. Well, I guess it'd be
It
more
would
in some way,
increase,
but not
yeah, not too excessively
not too
as
like
they
excessively.
said,
Yeah.
yeah, on the dev
so
notes.
you should be making
We shall
about 10
see.
silver per hour. So what's the purpose for the change then?
Again, so that different AP levels, because like the minimum AP for a spot, there's like a very small window of like, oh, I get a little more AP and I feel stronger there. like I think now again with the change again to undies before, where like you have like your initial AP, and then you as you get more AP, it feels like Now it feels way better from that previous change. I interpreted it to be like that. That's how I read it, but it could just be that.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna be able to kill faster, but just a little bit more. Like it's just basically a buff. Is just how I understand it, but just buff to silver, just a little bit more. Overall.
Yeah, I mean, somebody in chat brings up a reasonable point. Said they need to get rid of sheet AP at PvE zones altogether and use total AP.
That's exactly what's on the global lab, isn't it?
That's actually
that's
that's what
the
I was
global lab
follow
change.
up with.
Yeah. So what's the follow up?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you guys, like, what do you think of the AP caps in general? Should we just remove them altogether and just use
Remove them.
total AP so that we don't have like two separate values on our sheet? Because it is, I do feel like
It's pretty
there's a lot of
confusing.
information.
It's exactly what I was going to say.
Simplify it.
It's exactly what I was going to say.
Way too confusing.
Our current like method for AP, DP, and like stats and stuff needs to be completely erased. All of this 269, 301, screw all that. It needs to be the total AP. It needs to just show your total AP. That's what it needs to show. Like when you hit I, it should just show your total AP, right? And then if you click on my stats, you can see total AP to mobs, and then just total AP, and like that's it. Like there's your damage. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be really easy to understand. Like yeah, obviously there's going to be an adjustment period where people are like, okay, well wait, now my AP is like way different when I hit I now. You know what I mean? But like I think overall it would vastly simplify like people's understanding of like how much power their class actually has, how strong their character actually is right now. You know what I mean?
What do you think about
I mean,
the brackets? Should they retain the brackets? Because if they do remove the sheet AP, kind of like
my dog is going crazy right now.
I feel like they have
how
to
do the brackets
redo
get
all the
looked into?
equipment.
Oh, no, it all just melds in. It all just melds in. What? Like
yes, ma'am.
Like there's literally like you just like sheet AP's gone. There's no more hidden AP. It's just AP. This is your damage, right? And then like you can add AP to mobs can be its own separate stat because like this is like because then you can see all right, this is like my damage in PvP, and then you click on my stats. Okay, this is like my damage, right? Like this is my damage in PvE, right? It's like okay, there we go. Then you wouldn't have people making these videos. It's like oh yeah, I grinded with 269 AP on a succession witch, and really they're like Giga Chad buffed with like every single consumable in the game, and they just don't cover that before they go into it, right? Like some clickbait video stuff like that. Like you would just, but like overall for new players, I think it would be way better for old and new players if it just displayed your AP. That way you could tell how powerful your character was based on what gear you have on right now. Right? There's your total AP. There's your total defensive stats. Right? And there's your total accuracy. Right? Like it really should just be that simple. Again, our my stats tab is way too complicated.
That's a shame.
I'm still not really entirely certain.
That is a shame.
Do if
all right, well, let me restart BDO again.
It's going to make it again feel at like so when you have a minimum requirement for a spot, like once you hit like whatever the recommended AP, you have a very small window of like feeling better as you get more AP and gear. What this did for the original undies change was like it made it so that like the more gear you get, you'd actually feel like you're doing more damage to the mob. Similar to the way that at endgame Darkseekers feels every single time you add an extra 1 to 5 AP, you feel way stronger. That's essentially what this did for the earlier changes, as well as what it's going to do for like this change for all these spots. Ideally, it makes that the progression through these spots will feel more worthwhile each point of AP you get up until whatever the artificial cap is, or further on from that cap. Because that's what the original change was before, and that's what I'm pretty sure they talked about in the Coffee on Ball was making more, your upgrades feel more meaningful and stuff like that, where like you're actually feeling the progression of your gear.
And also, just to like follow up on your like when you said like meaningful upgrades and like new grind the grind spots I mentioned earlier how how like they relabeled everything. A bunch of spots were relabeled, like Olin Valley is 290 now, and I was saying about how they were maybe like potentially making more room for new grind spots. I thought it was like really cool way back when. Um, I think it was 2019. Heidelball or Calphion Ball, whatever it was, they revealed this brand new grind spot called Ash Forest, and it was 300 AP, 400 DP, and that was crazy back then, right? People were like, what, like 600 gear score at most, and so they added this like 700 gear score spot like out of
All
nowhere
right.
to,
Well,
I don't know.
that was
I think
fun.
they were mentioning how, oh, this is
Okay.
like a spot you want to like strive
So
for, right?
let
And then
me
Odalita came out, and then Crypt was like that new spot, and then people were
bird.
able to
Wait.
start grinding potentially Ash Forest back then.
Okay. I think.
Albeit it was still
Okay. Yeah. There we go.
hard in 2020 to grind Ash Forest, but people were starting to do it. And then now, I feel like
So let me do my rip
we've
bosses
conquered Crypt, and now I think
first,
Crypt is like a very
and then I'll do the hour.
doable spot now. And maybe in the future, I
Knock
think
this out real
maybe they
quick.
could add another sort of impossibly hard spot to grind. I think back in 2017 in Ackman and Histria, wasn't it that case where people weren't able to grind? People were like doing it in
Oh
groups
yeah,
too,
no.
right?
When it
They
came
were
out,
party.
nobody felt
Mm-hmm.
like they could do it. You know what I mean? Like there were people that went to go try to do it, and like that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they could really get done.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
And we don't have anything like that today, and I think it would be cool to add something like that.
spots that are basically
And then the
just
AP
out of
caps would
reach.
even better.
Like what? Yeah. So the problem with doing that, is like, what do you give those spots that like will like tempt people to grind there? I thought that Ackman and History were really cool back in the day because like the compass
Mm-hmm.
drop there, no one had that. It was like this super
Mm-hmm.
rare item. People didn't even know if we had it in the game for like a few months after the Valencia expansion came out. Because like no one could actually grind there attack. And then somebody literally walked through the
Mm-hmm.
door, killed an Elton, and got the Elton piece, and then we knew that it was in the game, and that guy got reported. But like, imagine getting it with 0 buffs on, right? Because there were no drop rate buffs back in the day. But yeah, I mean, I think that the PVE changes are like whatever. I don't really know that like how it's necessarily gonna overall affect. I guess like new players could grind spots faster, but like then it's gonna take longer to kill the mobs. So like
the HP is only to really affect the end players who would like literally one shot the mobs. I don't think that the way I don't think they would go through all these balancing changes and actually like ruin it for those up and coming players because the update is inherently made for those players. I trust that they'll adjust it correctly because they did it well with the undies change. So I think that was more of the primary test was that so many people grind there. So like they looked at the numbers, they looked at how it adjusted, and then they're like, okay, well this is successful, so let's kind of do this
All
renewal
right.
thing. And I think
Sell
that's
those
basically what's going to happen.
two.
It should feel good, and
Sell
then the
that.
progression through those zones. It's like say you like
I'll put
stick on one
everything else
spot,
in the
you're gonna feel every point of
marketplace
AP you
here,
gain from that
or my
spot, and it
storage.
should feel
Holy
like
God,
good
so
progression.
laggy.
Because I would argue that a lot of people don't feel their progression because they progress through spots so much, or they don't
It's
feel
so
any of their
laggy.
damage being upgraded in a spot. So it's a good change for like basically up and coming players between like the two Volley Timmy stage to like 700 gear score plus. So it's good.
interesting. Okay. Was there anything else on the global labs, or like, because I heard it was kind of a dull week. I didn't even hear about this until Jay kind of put it in our outline here.
Well, I mean, there was like a bunch of changes to. Well, it was going to lead into the next topic if we don't like if we want to move on, but we can.
Yeah, no,
we can
that's what I
cover
was.
some other stuff.
Yep, that's what I'm kind of leading into here. Our next topic here is going to be. Why is this not working? Uh-oh.
What's it gonna be?
My little thing isn't. My pen isn't working.
What's
But,
it gonna be?
player housing.
Player housing.
Like the current state of player housing in BDO. So what's on the global labs about that?
So, it's not like it doesn't do anything like functional wise, which was why I wanted to cover the topic. They changed like a bunch of stuff on like the furniture stuff to, I guess, tell people how to make them. Like they added like descriptions, and that was it. I was like, I thought, hey, that's kind of like what the frick. I feel like the player housing system has like so much potential, and this is
It
like
does have a lot of
already moved to player
potential.
housing, and
Yes.
so I wanted to
It sure
cover this
does.
topic because so okay, I actually thought about this super deeply. Last night I was just like thinking about it all the time, and then I was like running on notes. I couldn't sleep. Okay, so okay, first, what do we usually do in our manor, right? For the average BDO terror, right? We shove
Nothing
the free
really.
event furniture in our manor because it's taking up too much room in our storage, right?
True.
And then we let's say we also do like cooking, and we also do alchemy, and I guess
It's a scene out of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. I guess we do the furniture, but we shove all our cooking utensils in a corner.
Yep, that's
But
exactly how it works.
there's um okay, so imagine this. You're an avid cook in BDO, right? How do you set up your cooking in your manor? You put one cooking utensil next to a storage crate, and that's it. That's your cooking setup, right? That's as optimal as you can make it for the most part. But what if we have actually like functional furniture and tools that we can craft or construct to benefit our life skill setup? So, for example, like, hey, oh my god, I just built this really amazing looking spice rack and I placed it next to my cooking tool. Now that anything that requires like cooking vendor spices like salt or sugar, I can either just omit it from the recipe because there's a spice rack nearby, or maybe use the spice rack as part of the recipe itself. I don't know how the system they're good, but that's like one less ingredient you have to worry about. Or like, hey, oh my god, is that a panini press? Damn. Now I can create a recipe that is involving bread or sandwich at like a higher chance to yield more crafts or something. Or like let's say I have like a cooking
Actually, I want memory
kitchenware set or
fragments.
something. And now your cooking time is reduced by like 1 second, or increased with like 50 masters.
Memory
Something that makes like
fragment.
you're actually like building a kitchen, right? You're building
Yep.
all these tools and
Memory
appliances and
fragment.
all the furniture you can craft to like functionally work to optimize your
Memory
cooking setup. And then we can do
fragment.
that with alchemy too, or something. Like we can build a whole
All right,
chemistry lab,
making
right?
some decent
Again, a scene out of Breaking
money
Bad to
there.
optimize your
Let's see, we'll do
alchemy setup. Like
combat.
let's say, hey, oh my god, is that a Bunsen burner? Complete with some, I don't know, glass beakers or something. I can create
I'm proud of
elixirs
you.
with, I don't know,
Prawn
additional
stones.
chance to proc
Go
higher quality
figure.
versions or something. Again, functional player housing.
There's a lot of
Go ahead, Ben.
potential that they don't really capitalize on. I feel like in player
Mhm.
housing, like for as much as there are a ton of people that invest heavily into making their houses look cool, or
Mhm.
like a little relic shrine where they enhance or whatever, it is really surprising how they kind of drop the ball. Because in other games, like for example Arcade, like
Mhm.
player housing is like one of the integral parts of like progression in the game, where like you have
Mhm.
like for example you would cook in your residence, and there literally is tools like that where there's a spice
Whoa, get
rack,
away
or
from me.
there's like
Get
a
away from me.
thing that like basically increases what would be your mastery, or like if you
Mhm.
cook with it in your house. And there's all these really cool functional things they totally could add, and it's a shame that they don't really capitalize on like almost any of
Mhm.
that, because they really could do so much more. And it feels
Mhm.
like it just kind of falls short, where it literally is just, yeah, in one house in Heidel that has 2 floors, I think I have like 5,000 items, like 25 million trophies, a bunch of flags on the walls from back in the old days events and
Mhm.
stuff. And it is a
My
shame that
my
we don't
manor looks like
have
an
those
IKEA.
things.
It's
Yeah,
just a
like
bunch of beds laid out.
yes, I haven't gotten too into the manor system, but I do want to make like a really cool manor one day. I've just kind of been waiting.
Uh-huh.
So it is kind of cool that they're adding those descriptions to the stuff, so you can make it easier to find the ways to make them. Because there's a lot of really
Mhm.
weird recipes that like from farming, for example. There's like one
Mhm.
silk egg thing you get that apparently turns into a rug that you have to follow a quest line that you have to gather from this thing, and it's like this really crazy
Really?
intricate
Wow.
quest, and I had no idea what it was when I was collecting the item for literally years now, and I just decided to look it up, and it's this whole weird thing. And I'm like, for
Mhm.
one rug, I've been collecting this material for years for one
Oh,
rug. Like
that's the
this is
problem.
so.
One rug. Stop, brain. No. Calm down. Just play some music here real quick. Momentarily. don't even know if I'm going the right way, but yeah, got a shot here. I don't think I've ever really been up this way. See, that's the cool thing about having a Pegasus. You can literally just fly there. Look at that. That's so sick. I don't think I've ever even been over this way. Boundless Mountains. Oh, nice. Look at that. Heck yeah. That was pretty sick. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever go back to the Doom Mount. Come on. Come on. Come on. Take forever. I'll be happy once they condense these down. Or wait, or maybe they already did condense them down. Did they condense these already? Latent Bossora. Oh wait, you can turn this in for a memory fragment? That's kind of cool. Huh. Dang. They saw mega bucks. Also have these to do too, huh? Let's see what we get. Capras, Capras. Nice, nice. Now you can make some. Oh, I got a little ring there. You can make some. Oh, okay. So you can make some decent money with these boxes here. Okay, that's it. Ooh, excuse me. Ooh. Goodness. What is that? What is it? A cuckoo bird? I don't think I've ever seen that before. I'll tell you, just leave. Hey, what the heck, man? Leave my horse alone. This boss is so annoying. Well, actually, it wasn't that annoying this go round. Usually he sees me a few times. Okay, so they must have already simplified it. Just to these two. That's so nice. Gosh, like before this right here, it would like fill your whole inventory up. $10. 10 days and these expire. That's a big yikes. That's kind of cool though. You can turn these into memory fragments. Latent boss aura. Latent boss aura 492. Heck yeah. That's pretty sick. Just a little bit of extra money on the side. Come on, beast. Come on, beast. Easy. Easy. How many more do I have left? 1, 2. Only have 2 left. Yep. 2 left. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just one away. One, two, three, four, five. Nope. Last roll. All right. Not too bad. Okay, tree. Blocked me, I see. I like it, I like it. Alright, come on, Oga. Come on, Oga. Could probably punch this thing and be fine. Nice. We're almost there. We got one more. And then we'll go drop all of the loot. Get the church buffs and start the grind. I just got one more. One more. Is there a... There's a well right there. Yeah. Let me try to zoom. Oh yeah, she's going nuts. Now she's really going nuts. So that took a while, huh? It's all done? It's all done? Oh, it's not all done. There are a lot of people there helping. Oh. I don't know. You always fall asleep. I think you finished it. But who knows? So you can fall asleep to it? Student loan? No. Rain, get down. Nah, not really. Probably like around 7. Yeah. Yeah. Well, somewhat. A little bit. Mm-hmm. Do you remember my login information? I thought I put it in there. Don't tell me. Hold on. Ah, I'm on. Ah, what? I'm on stream. What do you mean can't be reached? Nothing. Know what that even means? What? I don't even know, bro. I mean, I guess it's set for auto. I don't. I mean, it says right here. Oh, this right here is a mess. Rain. I think you take her out one more time. I'm sure she just got pee. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. I write down multiple times today. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, can my horse make it before it die or before the stamina drains? I don't know. It's getting mighty close. I think it's gonna run out before I get there. Oh, look at that. It literally ran out right as soon as I got into the town. That's kind of funny. Recover. Okay, let me drop all of this stuff here. Inventory is such a mess right now. Let's see. Well, we'll move that over, that. I'll try to move all this stuff over. Cool. Move this over. Alright. Go ahead and sell these real quick. Golly, 56 million. Like the accessory market just like literally went insanely, just insanely dropped. Kinda nuts. Kinda nuts. Boom, 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 boom. Where's the memory fragments at? Do you see you? What's he doing out there? Is she Bart? Frenzied round. Do 4 of those. Storage. Nope. Meant to do marketplace. 4 of those. I need to repair my Velsart here at some point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. All right. Head over here. Oh, let me go ahead and make sure. Wait, that doesn't matter.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Well,
like,
I as much as you say it's a problem, I actually think it's really interesting that like there's just this one random one-off thing that I have to go on this grand
2,
adventure to
3,
make a king's rug, and
4.
it's like I agree, it's
Let me go ahead and
definitely
turn this
kind of weird, but it's
on.
like it's also
why
like
can't we
oh
get
that's kind
that?
of neat
Why can't we get that
Do
for
I
a
not?
helmet?
for everything.
You know
For
what I mean?
everything.
Why can't I
Repair.
get
Yeah.
that for a hat? Why can't
Mhm.
I get that for like my
Well,
shoes? You know what I
there
mean?
is
1,
one
2,
quest for
3,
the Shy
4,
where you can get the Naga
5.
outfit, which is a cool little
Stop.
neat little quest
Stop.
line.
Stop.
That's
Stop.
actually one of the coolest Shy
Stop
outfits
it.
in the game.
Stop.
Like hands down.
It's always
pretty
some.
cool,
It's
yeah.
Okay.
It's
it's
always some
actually so cool.
dumb shy. Shy gets
Listen,
everything
I feel like I'm
cool.
gonna go
Shy gets
really
a cool
quickly
costume. It's
through this
hilarious. That's our
Agris
They're not
here.
gateway.
actual human
That's a
beings.
gateway.
That's
They
our
don't
gateway
deserve
to get the
They don't
regular
deserve to live. Like
characters some cool stuff.
God, dude.
That's how we gateway the normal character or the
All right.
regular character,
There we go.
whatever, the non-support characters to get cool stuff
Mhm.
is by saying, "Oh, Shy has this. Everybody else wants this, right?" Shy's the
Mhm.
gateway. We just
Yeah,
have to,
you say the gateway, but
ask
then
for
none
it.
of the rest of us get it.
Right? We
It's
have
not
to.
a
Well,
gateway if no
shaming
one
the
else gets
Shies.
to go through.
Listen,
Bond.
if we shame
Shaming
the Shies, they're gonna be like, "Oh, they don't want this. They don't even like the Shy, so they don't
Well,
want this."
we don't
No, we
like
have to.
Shies because
We
they
have to
have all
like
the
it.
stuff that we want, and like
Listen, we
they're
have to
the
love and
only ones
appreciate
that ever
it.
get that. Yeah, the Shy looks cool doing that stuff, but like, what might you know who would look cooler?
And then
A
and then follow
Hashashin
this.
doing
It
that
would be cool
same
if my
dance. You
character
know what I
could
mean?
do
Like,
it, right?
yeah, like what about a Zerker doing like the Shy dance where it puts his
That would
arm
be
out
so
and he's doing
cool.
like
So we make
that
a
would be
forum
so
post.
funny. That would
Not
be
really.
obnoxious. And then it would like think of the PvP that you could do with those dances. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Like
it would
the
be
amount
so
of
sick.
BM that you could get away with would be staggeringly
Mhm.
good. Like
Wouldn't that be awesome?
it's so annoying that they don't allow us to do that. But like, I
Mhm.
mean, just to go back to like the housing thing, like yeah, like that's the biggest problem with housing is that like they have like all of this stuff in the game that seems like super intricate and like oh yeah, you got to gather for years to try to get this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool and everything, but also what is this rug even for? Like it's cosmetic, but it's for your yeah, it looks cool, but it's in your house. No one ever gets to see it. Your house
Right.
is
There should
literally
be more
again.
activities
I'm
to go to the
literally
house.
standing in my residence right now, and you would think that it's Breaking Bad meets Hell's Kitchen. Okay, like this is my res. Also, there's just pets everywhere. It looks like a scene out of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Like, but like I really just think that
And
there's
100
like a
maids
lot
in
that
my
they could do. Yeah, the maids we hide because I don't want everyone to know that there's a harem in here. But like, yeah, like there's a ton of stuff that they could do with housing. I think the biggest current problem with housing is how hard
Mhm.
everything is to get, especially the manor stuff. You have to go and do individual quests for like every single piece. Nope, I'm not doing
Yeah.
that. Like
It's
I
pretty
am not.
cool.
The
It's really
cool
cool.
part about the manor stuff is that I want to decorate my house, right? I want to be like you get to be the interior decorator and like show everybody how cool your house looks. But like I don't want to have to like go out and like do all this crazy questing and spend billions of silver to make all this stuff, only to get like the few hours of or of enjoyment of actually putting the manor itself together. I think the fun part of player housing is putting together a house that people are going to will look at and are cool. I don't mind if they could be like bought from a vendor for like a really high amount of money. If you want to spend billions on it,
Like a
that's
silver
different.
dump.
Yeah, like a silver dump, exactly. But like the
It would be
quests
kind of
are
cool.
obnoxious. Stop putting everything behind quests. No one
I
wants to
think
do your quests. Nobody cares.
I think
Okay.
they could do a really cool job of like having like a base roster of things you can put in a mansion, like your basic materials and stuff, like tables, chairs, rugs, whatever decorations. And then they have like another stage where it's like glowing, or it's like a holographic version, or just a really cool, more intricate, like gold plated version. That would be through questing. So like there's a gateway to like the mansion where you have like, oh, here's your basic mansion stuff. But if you want this really cool chandelier that glows in a certain way and changes colors, okay, well, you know, here's the quest line to do that, and making that a little bit, I guess, easier to access. I think that, you know, they could do both, right? Because there are people that are interested in doing all those quests to go collect those materials, and it's another way to add more quests for the, you know, the 100,000 bit quest
You
thing.
know which game had like really good player housing? I've never played this game. It's called RuneScape. I'm sure you you guys have heard
It's
of it, but
called RuneScape.
they have this really like I did a little bit of research on how their player housing system
Yeah, it's pretty
does,
good.
and they kind of it's instance. First of all, I don't know if we should have instanced manors or like residences, but maybe that could be like the gateway to open up more potential like functional stuff. But they have like, oh, you can craft like a room, a whole room that has, I don't know, like a showcase of all your stuff, or you can create a portal room that's like, I was like thinking, oh, what if we just build like a whole ass like Magnus well in there, you know, or like maybe some sort of magical closet, you know, like something like out of Narnia, and we can travel between residents or something. That's sort of like functional stuff. And now that adds like a little bit more purpose to acquiring those like the really obscure residences out there in the, you know, in like random nodes or whatever. But hey, they have like some more like functional stuff. Like let's say we can craft like for processing, we can have different functional decor. Like building a furnace allows you to improve your process heating with increased mastery or something. Like, you know, making a mortar and pestle station helps with like
Oh
grinding,
my.
drying racks for, you know, drying. One of those like
Oh
saw
my.
blade stations at the local
Forgot to
mill
do my
gives
loot
something like for
scroll.
chopping, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Like I think we get
Oh
the
my
picture. Like
goodness.
there's so much potential to integrate player housing into so many
Yes.
pre-existing systems into the game, you know.
Oh
It's
my
funny you speak of
goodness.
that, because BDO
Mm,
Mobile
mm,
has
mm.
all
Wow.
this. BDO Mobile
Really?
has
What?
all this.
What?
Yeah,
Of
BDO
course
Mobile
they do.
literally has like in BDO Mobile, you have your own instance.
I always forget the loot scroll. Mm. Yeah. Where's a good spot at? Put it in front of the steps. No, just put it on top. Just put it right on the top step. Yeah. No, she won't. Just shut the door. I can't believe I forgot to put the loot scroll on. My goodness. Drought. Oh my goodness. How do I forget to put the loot scrolls on? I always forget to put the loot scrolls on. Every single time. Did you shut the door? Well, that's not obvious at all. Feed. Organic feed. So I need to stop at 77, 67. Let's see. 87 minus 20. Yeah, 67. All right. 56 seconds. Then we can do this again. So 67. I need to stop at 67. All right, stop. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so that's on now. That's on. All right. Okay, take 2.
Player housing where you have your own stable to get horses and stuff. You have your own like blackstone like thing that makes sharps, hards, weapon stones, armor stones. Like you have a ton of different functions as well as having all this like daily useful stuff, your crafting stations. Like there's a lot of like built-in stuff to their player housing, which would be really cool if we had that
Yeah,
I don't know, sort of mobile on the go in a way.
And I was just thinking, like we haven't had a new life skill in a while. Why don't we just create a new life skill called like carpentry or construction? And now,
That'd be
now
cool.
it's its own life skill that could potentially have a purpose for profit too. You can craft those functional pieces of decor and furniture to sell in the market.
Yeah, because the other life skills
Mm-hmm.
can't be used for profit.
Yep. True.
Like, I I don't know about adding a new life skill, mainly because they can't even get the old life. Like, they need to make the old life skills, or like the normal life skills, more approachable for new players before they make another life skill. Like they need to have like a tutorial or like something that like helps introduce players to life skilling before they add yet another like system to the game that people aren't going to want to like actually get involved with. You know what I mean? So, um, that's just my take on that. Now, overall, I think that player housing, I don't know, like the way they have it currently set up, investing contribution or whatever, and then like I think that the normal housing has basically just become, like you guys said, a dump for like your cooking and alchemy stuff, and then like your various house buffs, obviously. But like the manor is where I think that they really like they should explore like the RP aspect of player housing, and like the fact that we only have two manors, right? It's like the Heidel one and like the Calpheon one, is it?
Land of Morning Light.
Oh, yeah, the Morning Light.
Oh yeah, I guess we have three. But like they need to introduce more manors, and then the manors, like the stuff for the manors needs to be more accessible. Whether it's just I'm okay with just a silver dump. Flat out, I am totally okay with a silver dump. Like, and then I think that more people would do it, and it would be more fun because you'd have more manors. Right now, you can't have a manor contest. There's not enough players in the game that have done the relevant quests. Like like you have to do like 1,000,000 quests and spend billions of silver to like decorate a manor. I can think of like 4 players off the top of my head, and we're all just going to use those players. You know what I mean? You just put them on your friends list. Like we're just going to use those.
That reminds me of there was this event that me and Hexella were a part of when Land of Morning Light first released. It was the manor decoration contest or whatever, and they gave us like these pre-made accounts, and then when they had like, okay, so you know how like when you go to your storage you can access your different storages, from Calpheon, Balanos, like the different regional storages, and they mailed every single piece of furniture like times 10 into the mailbox, and they unfortunately like I had to like prepare by individually taking each and every single furniture out and shoving into storage, and it filled up like all 192, like all the 192. I think it filled up like I want to say like 1,000 slots. It was a lot of
oh my god,
it was a lot of stuff. And so and if you had to do a quest for each of them, oh my god, that's
a lot.
man. There was some pretty cool furniture though. There's like cool like bright lights and stuff like that, but yeah, it's just whoever's designing, whoever's like in charge of like the matter stuff, I do think that they're like passionate about creating all these like cool stuff like that, but it's just it's not as accessible as we would like it to be able to utilize all that cool stuff that they want to add,
Yeah, I mean, like, so what would get you guys to do the like to get involved in the current player housing system? So I don't really know if they're actually going to change it all that much.
Functionality. I mean, it's I don't I'm more of like a very practical person. I whenever it comes to player housing,
I don't think that they're going to change it to be functional. I think that they wanted to just be the RP fantasy part.
All right.
I will say that they're
lasted
adding
like
an
5
aspect
minutes.
of apparently like didn't they mention at the Calpheon ball that they were going to add like a way for us to like cook together? Didn't they mention like guild like cooking or something?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, where like you have like a guild
I'm not sure if that's
thing where you do
confirmed or
things
anything.
together.
Yeah, but like I'm pretty
the
sure
only
they
thing I
mentioned
remember
that.
is that the only thing I remember is that there was going to be like a guild, like you can set somebody as like the guild manor.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the only thing that I remember. I don't know anything else.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, they haven't really said anything about it since then. But like, how would you guys rework player housing to make it better than it currently is? Because I don't really feel like they can change too much about like how it's coded into the game. So like, I don't know. Like, there's just nothing that is really going to make me go hang out in a house in a hot tub all day with other Dark Knights. You know what I mean?
What makes it so like right now in BDO Mobile, everything is part of your player housing manor thing versus right now everything's separated. The only thing you get the manor for, like you can get a house anywhere and cook anywhere, but you can get a manor, I guess, too. but it's off the city, away from my storages, all this stuff. Like, I think that if they integrated other life skills with it, like putting like a stable in there, or putting your farm in there, or more of those kinds of things, I think that's the only way. Like, because I have no reason to get them in there. As much as I think all the furniture and stuff is cool, and there's all this cool stuff to it, I have no incentive to do it, because like
It's very
like
true.
it doesn't functionally do anything for me, and I never have the spare time to like run around and do it, or find the the value of the time to do it. But like, if my
Yeah.
farms were there, then I might decorate it to make it look nice. Or if like my stable was in there, or I could do extra stabling for horses, like maybe I could utilize that. But currently there's just like kind of no use for me, at least personally. I can't even imagine something other than that, or making
I think
like
BDO's
sort of like these
BDO
daily
Mobile
login materials. Like, that's what they do for, again, BDO Mobile's like, oh,
housing's
you have to
pretty
like
good.
collect your blackstones because it fills up to a meter, and then you have to take
Yeah.
them out, so then it crafts more or whatnot. If they had some sort of system like that. But then you'd have people that argue that it's like, oh, I have to log in every day I have to collect my auto-generated stuff from my thing. That's annoying. So I don't know. You pick one end of the stick, kind
You
of
know
thing.
that China is trying to pass legislation currently, and it looks like it's going to go through. That is going to remove RNG rolly boxes and login rewards.
Login rewards, really? I don't mind RNG boxes, but login rewards is kind of interesting. I mean, I guess you could argue that it makes people do something they may not necessarily want to do for the FOMO or something,
I mean, it
or
might
it's
be
making
just like
players log in when.
it might be login rewards that are like Pearl Shop oriented, or like it's not just for BDO obviously, but like Cash Shop oriented
Interesting.
login rewards. Honestly, it's a W China. Um, and BDO is set to release in China, or like they're trying to get a release in China. So I'm curious how that might actually change the state of the game for us, because like if they maybe they just keep it as like the Chinese version of the game, but like I don't
Maybe.
know. I think that might change gaming as a general rule, because like I don't know, the Chinese market is kind of big. More to the point though, I think that I don't know, player housing is in kind of a rough spot, because again, nobody wants to go do all that stuff to just decorate their house. There's no practicality to it. There's no reason to do it other than, hey, my house looks pretty. And like you can buy a bunch of stuff off the Pearl Shop that can decorate a house. Sure. I would honestly rather do that than spend the 400 hours it's going to take me to do all the quests and the billions of silver and everything. It's just not like I would love as a content creator to have like a Manos. I mean, to have like a manor off. You know what I mean? Be like, all right, I'm going to walk through everybody's manors, and whoever has the best one gets like $50. You know what I mean? Like that would be really cool. The problem is no one has, like, I have a manor, I think, but like nothing is in it. I can't decorate it. Also, to be honest with you, the manor is kind of mid. It's kind of garbage. Like I think that like it looks kind of bad, but like also I can't do anything in there that is relevant at all. As Jay said, we could add functionality. If I could just put my farms in the courtyard, for example, or I could like cook in the house, and like, well, I guess you can cook in it, but like,
make it more efficient, make it like buffed, make it like have better rates or something.
Yeah, let the entire guild be able to do farming in there, like, or
make
something.
Mastery materials when you're cooking next to it. It buffs you.
I did mention before in RuneScape they have it instance, and maybe this would be a way to do it, is that we would make the manor space instance, and then you could just have like more, you can create your rooms, right, to make it however you prefer to make it. I don't know how they would do it, but maybe that would be a way to do it, is just make it instance. Then you have more customizability. You could create a farm plot or something like that in there, like a greenhouse, and that's where your farming stuff is. And then we can make more functional in that way.
Well, greenhouse would
dedicated
be sick.
rooms.
Greenhouse would be really cool. I mean, I like the idea of farming. It was something I got super into when I started the game. I was doing fertilizer for all my crops. I was watering them. And then I realized that was all complete garbage.
It doesn't matter.
And it was irrelevant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all.
Farming's awesome. Farming's the best life skill.
No, like
so chill. We go in, we pick my crops. I got some farmers doing it.
All right, we're gonna talk about it, okay? Because this is state of farming. No, it's not okay. Okay, like farming could be improved.
For what it is. It could be better.
It could be way better, dude. Let me actually like plow the field, or like
plow the field,
the crops, and like water it and stuff. If I active farm, it should give me way more resources. Like it should like really be a viable active life skill.
They they basically are. Did you see the recent change where they like added how much more stuff to the pickups? So like
let me
now you're
let me
no, go
explain
ahead,
to
go
you
ahead.
what I want from my farms. I want to literally look out at my vast fields of farming, right? I want like land of the morning light, you know, those giant wheat fields. That's what I want. Those are all my everything the light touches in this area
Oh, you want
is my
Farmville?
kingdom. I want Farmville. You're damn right.
Okay,
I want
well
Farmville.
that's different.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't want that much farms.
Yeah, well, no. But see, you don't. But I think that there's space for players that really do want that and want to farm just
Yeah,
all day long. Like that's what they want to
that's
do.
fair.
They want the Farmville simulator. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
And it should be
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
viable life skill. Like if you want to be a farmer, like you want to be a pirate, like or like you want to be a barterer, right? Like you should be able to do it basically all day.
Expand on those skills
And
to where
just-
you can just like
Yes.
be a main farmer master.
Correct.
That
Like,
would be kind of cool. Okay,
there it is.
in that vision, that would be really cool if a lot of life skills were built like that. I think that'd be
Yes.
really neat.
Like this is
That would
just
be
like what
so
I
cool.
want. Like I want to
Okay.
be a life skill. Like I want to be a farmer. Like this
That
is
would
what
be
I want to do,
awesome.
right?
For what it is currently, I personally like farming. You know, it's not a lot of work. You just do a little bit here and there. You get a little materials that help just random things in the game. So I use it functionally because of the stuff I want to collect from what I get from the materials. So like, I don't know. I like the basics of it. But a system like that would be really cool if they had like some high level mastery farming or something like that.
I was actually just about to follow up with that. It says they have pre-existing systems in the game. If you look at your world map right now, they actually have icons in the top right show like the water levels, the topography of everything, like the
Yes.
the ground levels. I feel like I
much
wish
more
it would make it
complex.
matter more, like where you place your farms. Like let's say I want to, I don't know, farm sunflowers, and you put your farm plots in like a very sunny area, and you have like, I don't know, 300% yield on your sunflowers because you put it in a sunny area. Or let's say I want to, farm some I don't know, mushrooms or something. You put it in a damp, dark place, doesn't get a lot of sun, but it's like very humid.
Yep,
right? And then,
that would be
then
sick.
Your mushrooms would,
Right.
All that currently does is like cut a few minutes. Like if it cut hours of production time, I feel like that would be way more useful. But all it does is cut like 15 minutes off of your production. Or even if your plants aren't watered, it'll be back. It'll be up in like 5 more minutes. Like it really, all the separate functionality for those things doesn't actually do anything. And you know, it would be really cool if that stuff actually mattered. You could do some crazy min maxing for your farming if they, you know, let you actually min max it. You know what I mean?
And you know what else is like? I mean, I thought it was a little funny, but when you farm hay bales, you like, I guess you're farming, I don't know, the cows, and you also get like meat and stuff like that.
Yes.
Maybe they could expand that on more, and you could have like a whole like ranch or something like that.
Exactly.
And then
I want to have a slaughterhouse.
Yes.
I want to take the cow out back and just turn it into beef. You know what I mean? Like I have red meat now. You know what I mean? Like that would be cool. Right?
I hate to bring it back to Arcade, but Arcade had a system where so much stuff was built on your player housing, whether you were farming stuff, whether you're making crops, whether you're making animals, and it was you had to manage that stuff every 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours, depending on what kind of animals you were slaughtering. You had to feed them, you had to heal them when they were sick. There was so much functionality, but it was all super worth it because the money you made was incomparable.
Yeah, you could expand this to be like a ranch. Like, yes, it could be a ranch, like Jay said, but like you could have literally farms all over the world and constantly be running to go tend to them. And then you've got like your horses and your stables and your cows for milk, right? You go milk your cows and like tend to those, and then some of the cows you can turn into beef, right? Like a ton of beef. Like it would give you a massive amount of red meat, like 10,000 red meat or something.
You know, actually,
like,
that gives me an idea. Why don't we integrate some of the farm nodes? Like, let's say you invest in a farm node and you can take over that farm, and that could, this node is for ranching, and this other node is for, farming like wheat and stuff. You mentioned like wheat fields, right?
Yeah.
Let's say in Land of Morning Light, you invest in a node that's like next to the, all the, the wheat fields, and then that's your farm,
Yeah.
And so now you can integrate the node system into, I guess, the farming system as well.
Right. And then you could go around your like basically your farms all day. You could tend the field, you plow the field, harvest the crops, oh, now I got to go handle the cows. You know what I mean? And this is what you do. You don't really have to do anything else in the game. This is like what you play BDO for. Again, it could be that there's a huge market for that in terms of just this is a sandbox MMO. You should feel like you can just go out and play the game the way you want to. You bet your sweet bippies that if they introduce something like that to the game, that I would play the game that way for a while. Like that's just what I would do. You know what I mean? Like this is just my life now. I'm a rancher. Like that would be cool. And then like okay, so if we're gonna talk about like the state of farming like this and like how they could expand it, let's look at the other life skills. Let's look at horse training next. I think that horse training, if you're gonna make it in this vision, where like you're gonna expand the life skill to make it something cooler, I think that like horse training in general could be completely improved where like you could move like going out to catch horses should be like you should be able to do it from horseback and you should like they should like run as like a group of horses like maybe you could make this a party activity kind of like hunting, you know what I mean, like ranching exactly. You could make this
that
like
cool.
like literally you could go out with your friends in a party and like corral horses and try to catch them with your like capture ropes, right? Like that would be a really cool like life skill activity. It's a party activity too. You could do it solo as well. That would be really cool.
That would be cool,
right? Like, and then you could do it all day too.
Yeah, a horse training and taming in general, like the breeding system used to be really intricate, and I feel like with the T9 T10 system,
it kind of throws it all.
Kind of got shoehorned into something that's like, it's whatever now. Who cares? Like, it's like, man, this used to be some crazy breeding thing, and now it's like, what? It's gone.
No, yeah. Do you guys remember Something Lovely?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I used
that
to use
website
that
every day.
religiously. I used to use that website religiously.
Yeah.
It was wild.
And they had a horse breeding calculator where if you take like certain horses with certain coats, like their color, you would make like you could target specific coats
breeds
and whatnot, or like breeds of the horse, and I think they would sometimes have like different stats or something like that, and it would be like more. It was like more intricate in that way.
It was like a pure white, full-bred male was like the fastest horse at the time, and like you know, people were really into that. I had a handful of friends that like literally all they did was horse train, and like they knew all the charts and all the numbers, and it was pretty crazy for a while.
And then they throw it out when they
T9 T10 system.
Well, what is going on?
Didn't even utilize that.
Yeah,
but maybe
unfortunately,
I don't know if they could do something like that where they could expand bring it back in that way where I don't know if you
what oh my gosh, this camera angle,
like 2 T8s that are like pure black or something, you would have a chance at the black Pegasus. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
Just do
they could do like a really special T9 or a really special looking T10 with like variations, has like a different coat, different tattoos or something.
Okay. Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Bro.
Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is processing. I think that as far as processing goes, I think that they could go back into crafting. I think it already exists in the game. I think they could make crafting just like super valuable again. You know what I mean? It used to be that I would go out and tan rhinos every day so that I could craft Grunel to sell to other players. There's
that was the thing, man. Back in the day, Grunel.
Like, you can the most I see for stuff like that is you can technically still make functional clothes. But like it's not really super good. You end up like managing a bunch of stuff. I loved the idea that like I was a craftsman, like I was the guy that made stuff for other players. I wanted to be the guy that made simple cron meals. I wanted to be the guy that made the craftsman's clothes, right? Like it felt like I was running like this whole life skilling empire. I was making money off my processing, and then I was like gathering so that I could go cook. And then my cooking stuff, like I would make into cron meals and I could sell those, or whatever. But like, I don't really get that feel anymore. But as far as like processing goes, I don't really see the value in processing anymore. Most people, like if you're a processor, you've got full tech Manos accessories with a pen like processing stone, and you're just speed running materials and then selling them on the market for profit, and that's it. That's all you do, right? And then the traders buy it and they turn it into their crates or whatever. Like, and so go ahead.
I was gonna say, I was thinking, so now that trading is just like trade crates, right? Like when I just think of like the I don't know, the fantasy or like I guess IRL vision of when you know, if you're a craftsman, like let's say you're a tailor, you're making clothes and you're selling it to some sort of like I don't know, merchant or whatever, and maybe they could have that sort of system in the game where let's say, you know, the functional clothes, right? We could make I guess I don't know if it would be just a reskin of trade crates, but let's say we craft these Calphionian clothes and we can trade it, yeah, right? We just trade it to a node manager or a trade manager to somewhere else that like values Calphionian clothes or something like that, or like Valencian clothing or Valencian like you know goods and stuff like that. All that, and then we could I don't know, they could bring back trading in that way and integrate it with processing. So you've become the craftsman, you've become the tailor, you've become the blacksmith to craft these goods from these cities, and then you would trade them to other cities that value them highly and stuff like that. And that could be a way to expand upon processing. You know, you're the process, you're the crafts, you're the
That would be
craftsman. You know,
cool.
so
Yeah. Yeah,
mhm.
or you could take like an apprenticeship from like a blacksmith in a major city that you
Mhm.
wanted to like um learn from in quotation marks.
Mhm.
And he could teach you how to craft very special stuff. It's going to cost you a lot of time, right, and effort, but like he
Mhm.
could send you out on quests and stuff, and you could like become an apprentice blacksmith, and then you could like craft like special weapons and armor and stuff, or outfits for characters, because like
Mhm.
you know that would be really cool. Um, like any of that would be really cool for processing. Gathering, okay. Moving over to gathering, I think that you can already do gathering all day. You could just be a gatherer. I think that
Yeah.
that's like hunting. You can already just be a
Yeah, you
hunter
make pretty
all
good
day.
money.
That doesn't really need to be expanded.
Yeah.
What else
Mhm.
needs to be expanded? Alchemy. Alchemy is in
And
dire straits.
I think they could
Alchemy
make the
needs to be helped so
systems
badly.
for hunting better because you just shoot and roll, right? I think could make
Well, no, I mean you have
Sniper hunting.
sniper
sniper
hunting.
systems. That's
Sniper hunting.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, you have
that's true.
sniper
Yeah,
hunting. You have normal hunting.
forgot
There's
about
a lot of
sniper hunting.
nuances that goes into normal hunting.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
there's just a lot of depth to hunting. I think it's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah,
I think
hunting's
that
good.
alchemy is in dire need of an update overall, and not just like how do you improve alchemy so that like you're an alchemist, right? And I
Mhm.
think that the way you do that is you improve imperial alchemy to actually be worth a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I think that it should be more than cooking by a
It's a lot
clean
more effort
margin.
than cooking.
It's way more effort than cooking. You have to
Mhm.
actually go get the materials. So much more
And
effort
there's
than
no
cooking it.
mass alchemy either.
Yeah, and there's no mass alchemy. That's right. So it takes like way longer, right? And generally
Mhm.
speaking, people's alchemy levels are way lower because it costs more money to actually do alchemy, right? If you want to do it, like I think
Mhm.
that overall alchemy could very be easily be made into a life skill you could do all the time. Cooking's already kind of in a pretty good spot because you got like imperial, right? Like the imperial stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know, Blonde. Did you have any ideas for alchemy?
No, I like that cool rare treasure system they have for it, but I am not an alchemist.
Mhm.
I do it to make some elixirs for grinding, and then honestly, it's so much that it's like no, I don't I don't
Right.
even have a clue of what you can do other than like I played these phone games where it's like an alchemical thing where you throw in different things
Mhm.
actively in the ingredients. It's like a quest in WoW for Hemet Nessingwary where you are crafting like a cooking thing and you're throwing in the oranges and then you're stirring it up and then you're heating this and you're cooling it down. They could do something like that, but I don't know. It's so hard to I feel like change the way that certain life skills are. I mean, unless they want to make
Mhm.
an active portion, because players like literally set up the AFK activities so they can literally not do it and do something else. But if like the systems were more rewarding to do an active system, they could add it. But then I feel players are gonna like inherently feel obligated to always do it that way and not the other way. So I mean, I'm
What
all
if
for adding cool new stuff, but it's tough
mhm.
too when like you're affecting what players functionally are doing and don't want to
Well,
change.
there's a really, really old system in BDO that is based around alchemy that they could definitely expand upon. It's called the alchemy stones.
Alchemy stones.
And maybe they could expand upon that
Oh,
and improve it. Maybe we could
really?
craft some like really special alchemy stones that have like more niche uses and
Huh.
stuff like that,
You're
and they
not
could lean
wrong.
more into that.
Actually, a
That
Really?
would be
super
a way to
good,
expand alchemy, you know?
literally a super good idea. Like
Interesting.
to where you
Oh
could just
man.
like literally make alchemy stones that are like custom. Like they're like
Yeah,
custom
custom
alchemy
stones.
stones that were made for certain life skills or certain aspects of the game. You know what I mean? That gave you certain stats. And it would be like this extra like way to customize your end game build, right? Or for whether it be
Yeah,
for
you
life
have like a
scaling or
specific
PvP or
alchemy
whatever.
stone
Yeah,
just
like
for like the specific life skills too. Like, oh, I have this hunting hunting alchemy stone that gives me, I don't know, reduced reload speed, right? Because that's an actual stat in BDO that doesn't get utilized very much. Or a specific one for, I guess, fishing. It just like fishing reduction, right? Like that would be a way to also like make money. You could sell those alchemy stones too for, for the profit.
yeah,
And that would be a way to expand it.
yeah. No, I think that's a super smart idea. I like that idea. Okay, so now for fishing. Oh, yeah, no, we'll get into that one. Fishing. Fishing needs to be overall. I think that if people, there are so many people that play the game. I mean, I was watching a video yesterday where the guy was just like, I love fishing. And he's like, I fish in every game that I do, and you can fish in BDO, and like, this is what I want to do. And then he failed the active game for fishing like twice. But like, that's what he wanted to do. But there's a lot of players that start the game that just want to be fishermen, and then they realize how garbage our fishing is, right? Like you just, it's an AFK activity. Like it's just, and I, as much as like you can keep it an AFK activity, if people want to active fish and use the floats, like floats are like, who uses floats anymore, right? Who does that, right? I mean, like, why bother? Why use any rod but the Balanos rod? Because it's just an AFK activity anyway. Like it would encourage people to use different rods. You could go out and like catch custom, like really rare fish. There could be like fishing events that happen, like the NPCs. So like, hear me out. You rethink fishing events to be like fishing events IRL. You know what I mean? Or like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go out on this like area of like Portaferia, right? Like or like this in this sea, right? And you have to catch like this many fish. Whoever catches the biggest fish, or like the most custom fish or whatever, wins. And then they could add different aspects to fishing, like active fishing. Keep in mind, they could keep passive fishing the way that it is, right? AFK fishing is fine the way that it is. I'm talking about people that want to be, they want to active fish all day. This is what they want to do. They can go out and catch like actual fish that are like bigger if they like, they could add certain stats to like various aspects of the water, or like add like those special like cookie or like the fishing hotspots, right? Like the fishing hotspots could be around. How you throw the rod in the water, you know what I mean? Like it could be its own little mini game, and then succeeding on the mini game, and then like you could see, like if you're high enough fishing level, you could see more hotspots, which is kind of how it is now. But like, and then again, there could be like when they do fishing events, like an NPC could be like, all right, the fishing event's about to start. Whoever catches the biggest fish in this time, and you go out and you just go to all the different areas where like you just kind of sail around on your boat and you throw your rod in the water, and like if you catch a really big fish, you bring it back and you see how it compares to everyone else's fish, and if you win, you get a big prize, right? Like that would be really cool.
Mention earlier, have you ever played a game called Stardew Valley by chance?
Yes.
You mean I've played Harvest Moon, which is the better version.
Yeah, it's a farming simulator essentially, but I love the fishing system in that game.
Yeah.
And how it worked
Very
was you would throw your fish, and then you have this like bar, right? You have this bar, and then there's like a smaller green bar in it, and then if you press your left click, I guess, it would raise the green bar, and if you let go, it would lower it, and the fish would like go up and down the green bar, and you have to up and down like the blue bar, and you have to like keep the fish in the green bar, if that makes sense, by like pressing left click or letting go of left click. And I thought that system was it. And if you added some fish would be more like sporadic, some fish would be more like, more difficult to catch because it would be harder to keep it in the green bar. And then you would get those lures, like the different lures would have different effects on that green bar. It would either make it, more weighty or faster to move, or even bigger, have a wider range so that it's easier to keep the fish in the green bar. And then they also had like seasonal legendary fish in that game too. Like, oh, this fish is only active in a specific condition of, oh, it's rainy, it's between 2 p.m. and like 6 p.m. You have to catch it between that time. Or this fish is only in the winter season, or you can only catch this specific legendary fish or like specific fishes in general in this specific season with these, oh, it's only in this area as well, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that they could have some, if they were to expand on BDO's fishing system, that would be the way to do it. Oh, I want to catch these really cool legend. It's not just RNG anymore. It's you actually go out there, you fulfill these specific conditions. Oh, it's rainy. It's between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. You have the specific lure, right? You specific bait. Oh, it's this legendary like golden delicious bait or whatever, and that would be the condition to activate the fish for you to catch, right? Activate the legendary fish for you to catch, and then you could sell it for a lot of money.
Did you do that ice fishing event, Jay? Where it goes in the ground and you have to swirl around their mouths?
That is kind of like the way that I was, the way Stardew does it, right? Is the ice fishing in a way. And then they could maybe expand it upon it. It was a little boring that ice fishing one, but it's kind of like the way Stardew does it. So
like this system.
And then you could have, I don't know, they also had like fishing competitions in Stardew Valley, and maybe they could have some in BDO as well. Like whoever catches the largest fish,
fishing
you
could
win.
be so much cooler. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to add sizes to like normal fish for like AFK fishing. But like when you go to do active fishing, like out in the ocean, and you're like doing, and you're exactly, like and then they could like again like Jay said, like the mini game could change, and like they could add like the size of the fish, and then you catch like a really big fish and you can show it off, or you could mount it in your house too. Right, like that'd be really fucking cool.
I hate to bring it up again, but Arcade had a really cool fishing system where you could have a fishing boat and you catch a fish and it becomes a trade pack on your back, and it was worth a lot of money, and you wouldn't have to deal with taxes or anything, but you'd have to fight other players in the ocean if they tried to steal your pack. It was really, really cool. It literally has so many cool life skilling systems.
Integrate sailing with it, and then you could craft like specific fishing boats.
You could have a fishing boat that has a big thing on the back so you can store fish in it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Arcade had a lot of cool life skills that were all used constantly by the players, and it's
Arcade was pretty good.
I feel like some of it's inspired in this game from that, but they just did not capture the actual essence of utilizing those functions because we have just a lot of AFK skills and not like I want to do this all the time, but there's not a window of opportunity for that to happen. And it would be cooler if we did have more opportunities. I mean, mastery should be that window of opportunity. Like you feel progression as you get more mastery, you're accessing higher parts of this like field that gets you to do more stuff, and none of that actually happens in actuality, which is frustrating.
Yeah. Okay, so now moving on. I think the only one we haven't covered is trading. And that's the one I wanted to leave for last for a reason, because the developers have basically removed trading from the game because they can't figure out how to make it work. And I'm actually going to roll this back to our discussion on farming, and like they could combine it if they expanded farming to be more of what we like talked about there. Not maybe necessarily exactly that, but like you could basically take your farming materials that you got on your big ranch or whatever, and go trade them. Like you could literally like do like a trading with vendors around the world that like needed those goods. You know what I mean? At like certain times and whatnot. And like that system could change a lot. How do you guys think that they could change trading? Because see, they've tried to change it a couple of times, and like they could just go land bartering, which is like a super easy, low effort thing. But like I don't think that they
interested in it.
I don't think that they want to do that. But I will say that trading should absolutely be something that if you want to sit there and drive your wagon around all day and be a trader, you should be able to do that, right? And like you just couldn't really do that before because you were limited on the number of trades and all this stuff. But like you should be able to do it for at least 6 to 10 hours a day, basically unrestricted. So like, is there any suggestions you guys have for like changing the trade system when they go to bring it back? What do you think that they need to do with it to make it interesting?
I mean, I liked the idea of integrating it into other systems. Remember back before when I was talking about processing, that could be a way to integrate it by, being, let's say you become an apprentice of this blacksmith or an apprentice of this cook, and then you can make these delicious foods to be traded for high value. And you said with farming, they could also integrate it with farming. Like, let's say you you grow this really big crop, this giant crop, then like this giant pumpkin or whatever, right? And that's the thing you're trading for high value. And then we can also integrate it with, well, it's kind of already integrated with fishing. I'm pretty sure, like because you do trade your fish into the trade manager, right? Let's also integrate it with gathering. Also has some form of trading. You know, the little beetles that you can sometimes get from gathering. I guess that's they sort of integrated in that way. But I like the idea of integrating it in with other life skills that you would make byproducts for to be traded for high value. And that would be like I guess a simple way to do it, less intricate than the way they were doing with the stupid, I don't know, the rumors of this. that
Oh
was
yeah, it was a little
that was an interesting
obnoxious.
idea.
Yeah, I mean, it was a total flop of an idea. I mean, like, I like that they're like they understand that trading's not in a super great spot, but like, yeah,
Mhm.
it was kind of a flop of an idea. But like, trading was already in a bad spot before that because like all their trading really was like the trade crates. That was
Crates,
it,
yeah.
right? It's just
Yep,
crates that you
that's all I
created up
did.
uh, with
What
your
a waste of
workers and stuff,
time.
and then you moved them across. We're talking about
Mhm.
active trading
So many
with like
years
the
ago.
wagon and stuff. How do you make that
Mhm.
engaging?
Such a waste
Land
of time getting into
bartering, and
master
then
trading.
again, like being able to craft.
Mhm.
If you could make trading a part of most life skills, like if you made like I want to be a craftsman and sell stuff to NPCs, right?
Mhm.
That want something, right? Like this NPC really wants like this particular thing, and you have to craft it at this warehouse and like have these materials. You're like, oh, I have all that stuff, so you put it
Mhm.
together and you go to that NPC, um,
Yeah,
like and you
in a
trade it
few
to them.
episodes, I don't know if it was a few episodes, but it was like a like I don't know, like 10 episodes ago, we did talk about trading, and I don't know if you remember the idea I had with possibly making a contract or like be in a reputation system with the different merchants in the merchant guilds in BDO, because there's three notable ones, right? There's the Crows Merchant Guild with Patrigo, right? And then there's the Shikatu's Merchant Guild with Shikatu, and
Yep.
then there's the Xi'an Merchants Guild with Isabella and Crocia in Caltheon. Those are like the three like main merchants in BDO that like I guess do business and trading. And I was explaining before in that episode how you could have that sort of, if they wanted to make it more intricate in that way, that could be a way to you know if you work for Shikatu, then you have access to all these exclusive items because you were able to um, get these exclusive goods for him, and then same with Isabella, and same with Patrigo, etc., etc.
People are saying a smuggler system for rival NPCs would be fun too. Um, I'm not really like I don't know how that would work. Smugglers imply that your goods are going to be checked in some way, and you're like sneaking it past people. Um, but like
Hmm.
again, if you swore to a trade guild, you could raid other people's like trading stuff. But like, see, then
Mm-hmm.
nobody's going to want that because like their trade nobody wants their trade goods to be attacked while they're just driving their wagon. Nobody wants the PvP. Um, or you could make it like a guild activity, like they have going in Ashes of Creation that's going to come out in 11 years. Like I like they you could make like a little trade system that like if your guild's able to transport these goods from this area to this area for this
Hmm.
merchant guild, you get this much money, right? Like or you get
Yeah,
this much of a resource, blah blah blah.
you can
Like
make it a guild mission,
yeah.
and
Oh,
then
how
whoever
about that?
participates, gets reputation towards
Actual guild
that
mission
merchant.
pog. Now, what a good idea. There's your guild mission right there. Trading guild missions or
Mhm.
somebody's driving a giant wagon, right? And you got to
And
move that
protect it.
wagon, yeah, from point A to point B, right? And other
Mhm.
guilds can come kill you, right? Like that's really cool. That would be sick.
Yep.
Cho is just doing nothing but profit, but set them aside for a moment. Everybody else would have fun with it.
Good old
Um,
Joe.
like, I think that that would be really cool. Okay, all right. So we've gone a little bit over time here, but we actually got off into an interesting discussion there. Um,
Yeah.
so let's do closing thoughts on everything today. Let's start with Blonde. I started with you before, so we'll start with you again here.
Okay. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity for the life skills and stuff for it to expand. There's so much opportunity. It's unfortunate that it's not being utilized. I think we have like the possibility to make is so that you can do anything in BDO with all these different skills if they really push hard and enable themselves. And there's a lot of cool systems that players want to see in games, and there's a lot of stuff that other games have really nailed. And it would be really cool if they expanded on it. The manner system having more integrated ability would be really cool. And then the AP caps and stuff. I think that's just going to be a good change in general for progressing players in general. Not everything has to always be about like, how's it going to affect me as an endgame player and increase my profits? Like, we want players as they're progressing through the game to feel meaningful, impactful changes. And I think that this is that sort of right direction, or maybe lowering the requirements that as soon as you're out of Tuvala status or in Tuvala status and you've got full pen, you can access some of these other areas a lot earlier, and making the AP caps and stuff a little more understandable. So I think that that's the direction they're going. You know what I mean? And they talked about that a lot at the Calpheon Ball. So again, you can catch me at twitch.tv/Bombay, where I'm grinding Olins every day for at least 2 to 3 hours. Every morning.
Every day,
and
Olins, 2 to 3 hours. Wow.
One day.
One day.
One day.
Someday.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Someday.
Maybe never.
All right. And Jay?
And closing thoughts is that I hope the player housing system gets more functional updates. I also think it would be cool to have an impossibly difficult spot to strive to gear for, and an expansion to life skills would be amazing. And you could find me at twitch.tv.
Yeah, that would be nice if they would update, expand on the life skills.
And I am Blue Squadron. There's always something happening on this channel. Today, there was fan.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome back. So the last time we talked about Throne in Liberty, we left things on a fairly positive note. The game had, at the time, just recently released in Korea, and buzz around the internet was overall generally good. Lots of positive first impressions and early reviews from people who had played the game. Primarily, this seemed due to some good improvements that were made to Throne in Liberty from its beta testing to full release. In fact, it seemed like many of the major gameplay and systems complaints had been addressed. Combat got an overhaul from its previously static feel with almost no mobility to a more fluid and dynamic system, more in line with other modern-day tap target MMOs. As for content, it seems like much of what we were looking forward to was there. The massive open world with thousands of players all sharing a single server and everyone visible as there's no phasing. Open world public events, non-instance large-scale dungeons, solo challenge tower climbs, world bosses,
I feel like it's always hard
tons
to
of guild activities, and plenty
play
of
a different game now since I played BDO with the combat.
And then on top of that, they had removed the autoplay features that people complained about, where you would just click a button and the game played itself, farming and grinding for you while AFK. In doing so, they also retuned all of the progression and farming speeds to be more in line with the fact that people would actually be playing themselves, so things like the time it takes to level your character and skills, the amount of gold and materials required to craft, all of that was drastically reduced. As a result of these changes, along with the game's core foundation of systems, features, and content, as I mentioned, resulted in an overall positive impression of the game in terms of what we were seeing from those early reviews and first impressions. But surprise, things haven't gone particularly well in the time since then. The biggest clue that things aren't looking so good for Throne in Liberty actually comes directly from the developer themselves. So recently, NCSoft released their financials reporting for the fourth quarter 2023, and they were not particularly great, revealing a 31% overall revenue drop in 2023
it's kind of nuts. 31%,
with a 20% drop in the fourth quarter specifically compared to the year prior. Now, typically during these investor calls, NCSoft would also present earnings broken down for each individual game during the quarter. So for example, they would show exactly how much was earned from Guild Wars 2, from Lineage 2, from Blade and Soul, etc. However, this time around, they notably omitted this level of detail, not showing how much earnings came from each individual game. On top of that, the biggest thing that stood out during this presentation was the fact that they didn't even mention Throne in Liberty, even though the game launched in Korea within this reporting window.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Let me say that again. They are doing an earnings report talking about how much money they made for their games in the fourth quarter 2023.
They didn't talk about their
During
newest
that time,
game.
they launched a brand new game, Throne in Liberty, and they didn't even bring it up. They didn't mention the game at all whatsoever during the entire earnings report. Unsurprisingly, investors noticed this omission because, of course, they did. They spent a lot of money on the development of Throne and Liberty over the course of 10 plus years, mind you. The game finally released, and they want to know how well it did, but NCSoft doesn't even mention it. So towards the end of the call, during the Q&A portion, investors pressed them asking, what the heck? To which they responded by saying that Throne and Liberty had, in fact, underperformed, adding that they were working on trying to sort out the game's rough launch and make it better, but ultimately, they're more so banking on Amazon's global release to save the game. The TLDR of all of this is that Throne and Liberty launched in Korea. It did so poorly that NCSoft is basically writing it off and turning their sights to the global launch being handled by Amazon to recoup their cost and ideally earn some money. Speaking of earning some money, let's get a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Luck Catchers 2, a multiplayer socio-economic MMO set in a vast world of magic, dragons, and launches in Korea. It completely bombs. NCSoft doesn't even mention it in its earnings report. Investors are upset, and they respond by saying, hey, we got the global release. It's going to save us with the help of Amazon. Now, as much as we can totally go, haha, Amazon save your game, LOL, nice joke, the fact of the matter is, both of the MMOs they've published, while they have fallen off, they did launch with rather significant success. Both games are still in the top 10 all-time concurrent players on Steam, with Lost Ark reaching a peak concurrent player count of 1.3 million, and New World reaching one of 900,000. Those are very big numbers, and those very big numbers translate to a heck of a lot of money, and that is ultimately what the investors are concerned about. Although obviously the best case scenario would be continued success of their games to continue earning off of that investment coming from a game that wasn't even mentioned during an earnings call. At this point, I'm sure NCSoft's investors will take whatever they can get. Now, this whole thing got me curious about the game's general popularity. We know it's clearly not earning a lot of money, but are people playing it? Well, it actually seems to be the case. In fact, the game appears to be relatively popular, ranking among the top 20 played in PC bangs in Korea, which, if you don't know, these are popular internet cafes filled with tons of computers, and people regularly go here paying money to play games. The most recent numbers that I saw from last month actually placed Throne and Liberty just above Black Desert Online and Counter-Strike 2, and even a few spots above GTA 5 and Dota 2. While the game has clearly seen a dip in search interest globally since it released, it's also still trending above its pre-launch levels, which I would say is a good sign as well. So it appears like the game actually hasn't completely fallen off in terms of its player base and popularity, at least in terms of the Korean launch, but that is only a part of the equation. I'm also kind of curious how the community sentiment and thoughts on the game have changed within the months since it released. While those initial reviews and impressions did lean positive, with people liking the gameplay and its content, there were some early concerns, and those concerns appear to have only gotten worse. So for starters, we know that the game has pay-to-win elements. That was never in question. These were present at release, and now a few months in, we do have a clearer picture of the sort of impact that it has had. So like most free-to-play MMOs, Throne and Liberty has two currencies. There is Solent, the earned in-game currency, similar to, say, Lost Ark's silver, and then there is Lucent, which is the purchased currency with real money, similar to Lost Ark's gold. Now, Lucent, that paid-for premium currency, can also be farmed in-game, in the sense that the items that you find while playing can then be sold in the auction house, and in doing so, that is exchanged for Lucent that was purchased by other players. So it is the case that, not spending any real money yourself, you can play the game, acquire items and traits that you sell in that auction house to players who swiped for Lucent, and then they give you that Lucent without you actually swiping. Now, with Lucent, what you're able to do is basically purchase nearly everything in the game that pertains to player power, and this is where the pay-to-win stuff comes in directly into play. So the two main things that people will use Lucent for, using that premium currency, is to buy the base level versions of gear, but more importantly, buy the materials that is used to upgrade that gear. In fact, only using Lucent, you can do the following. You can buy a base set of gear, you can purchase the materials to upgrade that gear, including now even being able to buy the in-game currency of Solent, which is used in that upgrade process. Previously, you could only earn that by playing, but now with the purchase of certain items that can be broken down into Solent, you can then basically convert that premium currency to the in-game currency. So that gate that previously existed is pretty much no longer there. And then you will use those materials that you purchase as well as that Solent that you got by breaking stuff down to enhance your gear, bumping it up to its maximum level. All of this just by spending real money. Now, this whole thing can be done as well entirely free to play, but of course it will require much more time playing the game, grinding for Solent, grinding for the upgrade materials, and even grinding for items that you will sell for Lucent. People who are swiping can't get more powerful than free-to-play players, but they can reach that max gear level of power much faster and with less playtime. Almost, because it actually turns out that Throne and Liberty does have some anti-pay-to-win built into it. The total best in slot gear in this game comes from activities like defeating world bosses or doing dungeons, some of these items are not tradable, meaning you can't buy them in the auction house. But even more so, most of these activities will be controlled by top guilds. It requires actually playing the game, being invited to those guilds, attending those events, and being rewarded that gear. So to get the absolute tip of the top best in slot stuff in this game, you actually need to play and be at these events, but more so, you need multiple duplicates of this gear, because to completely max it out, it's not something that you can purchase. It actually requires you merging them together. Also, part of Throne and Liberty's power progression involves upgrading your skills, and one of the items used to do these upgrades, parchments, can't be purchased either and is only acquired by playing. So these are two major elements of maxing out a character's power in Throne and Liberty that can't be paid for, at least currently. This, of course, could change. But honestly, from what I've heard, this isn't even the real big problem with Throne and Liberty. The issue that the game is facing isn't even so much the pay-to-win aspect, because, as I mentioned, free-to-play players can get just as far as pay-to-win players. People who pay can't get more powerful. They just get more powerful more quickly. But the biggest problem with Throne and Liberty right now is the botting. Apparently, the game is absolutely, completely, and totally overrun by bots. And that botting gives players a significant advantage, which, can we just take a moment to, I don't know, I guess appreciate the irony here? After NCSoft removed Astral Hunting, which was their in-game built-in botting that they had, and they did this due to community complaints following the test last summer, the game now finds itself overrun by people just using external autoplay bots. And how are those bots impacting the players? Well, this is how it works, basically. Throne and Liberty's endgame really primarily centers around competition between guilds and players in PvP and elsewhere, with its ranking and leveling systems. So people who are using these autoplay macros and bots have been gaining a significant lead over those who don't, being able to constantly farm materials and currency, which is then used to feed into boosting their ranks and levels of their guild. And this matters a lot because the number one guild on every server gains exclusive access to a castle, which, if defended, rewards them millions of Solent and Lucent. And remember, Lucent is that premium currency in the game. So guilds who are full of players that are using bots and farming 24/7 are able to climb the ranks, get that number one spot, and then if they defend their castle, they are actually monetarily rewarded. They're given the in-game currency as well as the premium currency, and they got there essentially by cheating, by botting. Now, just because a guild uses bots, it doesn't guarantee they're going to take the number one spot, but clearly it gives them a rather significant advantage over guilds that are full of players who aren't using bots, because they have to put in significantly more time and effort. When you're playing against guilds full of bots, they are farming and climbing those ranks 24/7, while you're only doing it while you're playing. Now, obviously, actively playing players can be more efficient and effective at climbing the ranks, but if you have people who are combining no-lifing, but then whenever they do take a break and sleep, then botting, that does give them the edge and make it all the more likely that guilds that are exploiting this and using bots and autoplay macros have a big advantage to reach that number one spot, to then control the castle, which, if defended, gives them that huge in-game benefit of all those extra currencies and other stuff that comes with it. And seeing as the endgame in Throne and Liberty really centers around group content, and that's something else that you should know, this is very much a group and guild-focused game, specifically guild PvE activities, guild PvP activities, open world activities with a guild. This isn't really a game tailored to the solo player, to the small group players. It's really all about big, large-scale group activities. And all of this means players who are non-botting and guilds who are non-botting have a significant disadvantage on pretty much every server unless these bots are dealt with. I want to say here as well, I want to give a special thanks to Canon, who really helped catch me up to speed on how things have been going for Throne and Liberty. If you guys are looking for more detailed coverage of the launch of the game and how things have rolled out since, definitely go check out his channel. He's posted quite a few videos. So with all that said, where does that leave us now? Well, I think on the plus side, it's great that Throne and Liberty sounds like it has good content and gameplay, that they're generally good. Even if nothing else changes between the Korean and global release, it appears like the game has plenty of interesting content, a unique, interesting world, lots of cool features, and it feels good to play, at least so I've heard, and that is all great news. When it comes to the pay-to-win features, well, they're frustrating. Being a free-to-play game, we do, of course, understand they have to monetize somehow, but obviously our preference, my preference, is they stay far away from allowing you to purchase power. Well, they have not done that. You can buy most of the top tier gear, but at least swipers can't pay to become more powerful than free players, but they can in fact reach those upper echelons of power much quicker and with much less playtime. And the reality is, I do not expect this to change from the Korean to global release. And as for the bots, like botting in any MMO, this absolutely needs to be dealt with. I would say doubly so, considering botting gives guilds that big advantage in Throne and Liberty, with again reaching rank number 1 more easily, controlling that castle, and getting all of the rewards that come as a result. Now, news on the Western release of Throne and Liberty has been, let's just say, quiet, with Amazon not publishing any updates since October 2023. It's been several months since we've heard any news from Amazon about the Western version of this game. I suspect when it does come out, it'll probably have a decently successful launch, especially considering Throne and Liberty is like one of 2 traditional MMOs that we're going to be seeing launching in 2024. There's just not a lot of new games to pick from this genre, and so when anyone does come out that looks even halfway decent, tends to draw in quite a bit of numbers, because people who like this genre want to try out new and interesting things. But I will say, if they don't change the pay to win, which I'm not expecting them to, and if they don't clamp down on these bots, which I know can be difficult to do, my guess is that Throne and Liberty does in fact follow a similar trajectory to Amazon's previous 2 MMOs. We'll see a big, impressive launch with some huge concurrent numbers, lots of people checking the game out, followed by the complaints, followed by a fairly massive decline in the 1 to 2 months following. That is my estimated guess, my best educated guess, but that could change. Who knows? Maybe they get rid of enough of the pay-to-win elements that it doesn't bother most of the global audience. Maybe they successfully deal with the bots, and maybe we're just left with a great new MMO for people to enjoy. Keeping my expectations in check, though. That what I just said is what I foresee will happen. I mean, hey, you know what? It's in Amazon's best interest. It's in NCSoft's investors' best interest if that isn't the outcome. So I hope they take the steps to make it so that that's not the case. The game comes out, they make the necessary changes and improvements so that it's a successful game that flourishes over time. We'll see how it all turns out, though. With that said, that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Take it easy.
Good stuff. We're almost there. 1 more minute. Stay strong. All right. Good stuff. Finally made it. 17. Jeez, please, man. Okay, will you stop attacking me? It's cool. going on here? Stop. Oh, don't you kill my horse. What? All right. Okay, let's see what we got here. We shall total it up. So 17,208. 17,208. Okay. We have 112. 113. We have 11. Is that 12? 12. We have 18, 19, 20 of those, which that's insane. 20. No necklace. 2 seeds. 115 of those. So that's with Agris. So let me screenshot this real quick. All right. Well, all right, YouTube. Hope y'all have a good night. I'm going to hit the sack. Got to wake up really early in the morning to go to work. So, yeah, hope y'all have a good night. Peace, peace.